Plaintiff Peter Reale says living with the defendant was the biggest mistake he has ever made. Peter says the defendant is an alcoholic who often bragged about spending 3 days in a New York prison. And he's suing him today for unpaid rent. Defendant Jack Ferentz admits that he likes to drink, but insists he and Peter would often go out drinking together. Jack claims Peter is now trying to get him kicked out of their band, and he's countersuing for stolen property.
Start with you.
So Jack moving in was one of the worst things that ever happened. Jack moved in and he's pretty much an alcoholic. He's always drinking.
You're one to talk, man.
He's always drinking. He's always stealing too. He steals a bottle of liquor.
From where?
From like store, just some large chain store or something. And then he'll go out and drink in public, just be a public menace.
How do you know?
We hang out. We were friends before.
Right.
Yeah, he's with me.
Yeah, he's with you.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, and he thinks he's this real tough guy, rock and roll tough guy, because he spent...
When he drinks?
Yeah, all the time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because he spent, I don't know, 3 days in prison in New York. I mean, he looks like Where's Waldo, so it's kind of a hard sell. He uses this to scam on women so he can stay at their houses instead of paying us rent.
Whoa, what? I don't know about that.
You give me some background on yourself, sir.
Well, Peter and I we're friends, and we play in a band together, and we would go out drinking all the time together, and we'd go to these parties, and Peter would get trashed, very trashed, and just start hitting on women in the most horrifying ways, having him against a wall with his arm pressed, droning on about bicycle tires or something, and I'd see their eyes just glazing over.
Now you lost me.
Exactly, yeah.
He would go to the club, put your woman up against the wall, hold her there, and talk about bicycle tires.
I know, exactly. So,
go ahead.
And they'd start looking at me save me. So then I'd have to come over and be hello, I'm his friend. It's okay. And then I'd take him home, and he'd be mad at me. What were you doing, man? That was totally working. I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know.
You had to
that.
rescue him because you've done hard time, so you got a reputation. You've done hard prison time. Go ahead.
So we play in a band together, but we haven't been able to practice in months because Peter's never around. And now he's trying to get me kicked out of the band. But I know we can find a better drummer.
Well, no,
anyway.
it sounds like he's trying to get you kicked out of the apartment. So you tell me about the lawsuit.
Well, he's been kicked out. We tried to kick him out on the 1st of September. He did not pay rent for August, September, and because he didn't move any of his stuff out and was always avoiding us all the time.
Well, you haven't let me get my stuff.
Hold on, sir.
Sorry.
October then, because he left his things there.
He didn't take his, we couldn't get his
Gotcha.
stuff
How much
out of
is the rent per month?
His rent, share of the rent was $600.
Okay. What was he saying when he wasn't paying the rent?
I mean, he was telling us that he was paying rent. I got a text message from him, right after, hey, our landlord said he didn't get rent. Can you send
What did he say when he was
check?
leaving his things there? Did he say when he would come back to get them?
No, he didn't tell us. Basically, he comes to band practice and he'll change his clothes, the clothes he's been carrying around in a backpack. They've been sitting in our living room.
Yeah, but you're suing about October because you say they've been at the home still.
Yeah.
So has he attempted to come and get them?
No, he just leaves them there.
And how long has that been?
We kicked him out on the 12th.
Okay, let me hear from you, sir.
Well, when I realized in August that I wasn't going to be able to pay the rent, I did alert my roommates, including Peter, that I wasn't going to be able to, and that I wanted to contact the landlord to work out some sort of payment plan. But before I got an opportunity to figure something out with my landlord,
You were on the lease separately?
I was not on the lease. He was on the lease, but I was not. I was technically subletting.
So how did you have access to discuss the terms of the lease when you weren't on it?
Well, I thought that I could just contact him and we could work some sort of agreement out.
Okay, and that obviously didn't work.
Well, before I got the opportunity to do so, all of my roommates basically ganged up on me and kicked me out.
You thought you were going to do it in August, right?
Yes.
So when did you try?
I couldn't get in touch with him until September.
So for an entire month, you couldn't contact the landlord.
I was also trying to figure out other ways to come up with the money.
No, let's stay on the landlord first.
Sure.
Because you said you couldn't contact him. So for an entire month, you tried and could not contact the
Yes.
landlord? How did you try?
By phone. I
You
would,
had
leave,
his
I, would leave,
number?
I would leave voicemails for him that would not be returned to me.
For an entire month?
And instead of him returning my calls, he would call one of our roommates.
Why do you think that is?
I assume because I'm not on the lease.
Ah, you go.
But, you know, my roommates wouldn't tell me that he had called back.
Yeah, you had to work it out with them.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you do that?
Well, I just thought it would be better to deal directly with the landlord.
Okay, but when you saw for a month, he wasn't responding to you, and you figured it out already, that he wasn't responding because he has nothing to do with you. He may not even known who you were. So you had to deal with the people you were leasing from. So what happened? That's August. In September, you tried for a month to rearrange with him, and that didn't work. So tell me what happened in the other attempts to work things out.
Well, there was no, I mean, then they kicked me out on I thought it was the 13th, but the 12th is fine, of September. They knocked on my door and brought me downstairs, very like solemn faced and everything, and told me that I had to leave, which I did.
Okay, you didn't resist because you intended to leave.
Well, because I intended to leave, and also because, you know, they're my friends.
So why shouldn't you pay your rent?
Well, I don't feel as though I should be responsible for the October rent.
Okay.
You know, I understand that I owe August rent and at least a portion of the September rent, but I don't understand why I should
Did you leave your things there?
There are some of my things there.
They're still there.
Well, yes, but it's also like a suitcase full of
But
things.
is it preventing them from renting out that
No.
place to someone else?
No, absolutely
So it's only
not.
a suitcase?
Correct. And my guitar.
All right, keep going.
So I've attempted.
Where is it located, your suitcase and your guitar?
I believe in the living room.
So you're going to keep your things stacked up in their living room.
Well, I've attempted to get them back, and I haven't been able to.
And what happened?
Well, Peter was out of town for
30
weeks.
days? You operate with this 30-day
No,
time
it was
frame.
more like 3
you can't
weeks.
reach people for 30 days at a time.
And, you know, since then, he hasn't been taking my calls to get my things back.
There you go again. No one returns your calls for 30 days. Landlord nor Peter.
Well, yeah.
Let's talk about his items. That's the stolen property you're suing for?
Yes.
I mean, if I were a youth large, maybe I'd want some of his ratty clothes.
Did he try and get his property and
Yeah.
you all prevent him?
No, we have not prevented him. He has been avoiding us because he owes us money. He's come to band practice multiple times, and he just kind of exchanges some stuff.
And I'm inclined to believe you. He keeps saying he calls people for over the course of 30 days and no one takes his calls. Now I ask, why didn't you try and go and get your things? First, you didn't think it was any problem leaving your guitar, your suitcase in their living room.
Well,
You were going to band practice.
yes.
Why
Well-
couldn't you just follow him home?
I guess I could have just followed him home.
Right. That's why I'm not granting you a judgment, because you left your things there and you never made a valid attempt to get them. You could have just gone home with them one evening after rehearsal and say, hey, let me follow you guys home and get my suitcase and my guitar. You didn't. You left it there, and therefore you still occupied that premises. $1,800 is your judgment. Where are his things now?
Still in the living room.
Living room, still right there. All right.
Where we left them.
Sir, I'll give you 30 days to get them again, and you know, you're the 30-day man.
That's funny.
If you don't come, they're abandoned. All right, have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I don't know.
I guess we got to get a new drummer.
Oh, yeah, as if there's not enough guitar players in this city. You know?
I'm a better guitar player than he is a drummer anyway.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if your guitar could actually play the first fret, just janky Washburn, just throws it around all the time. Kid can't play. It's like bad Metallica riffs all day.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about that.
Maybe
That's
it's playing
ridiculous.
Enter Sandman.